It appears you're just in time for music, and we are on episode 3. It's hard to believe we've had 2 successful ones already, and we're filming our 3rd. Our guest this week is Natalie Miller.
Oh, what a day.
Do I want to know what happened?
School. School happens.
Honestly, I feel you. School days up here tend to get a little rough, especially like with colder weather now, so it's just more of a struggle to get out of bed and just get to classes.
Especially when you live in building F and you have to walk like 20 minutes everywhere.
Mm-hmm. To put it into context, building F is probably the farthest away dorm building compared to everything else on campus. So, I'm very happy you're on the show. You are our first non-officer guest that we have had so far. So, what section do you play in the orchestra?
I play violin 1.
Okay, so I guess that kind of answers 2 questions in one, since you play violin. Is that your primary instrument?
I don't really consider it to be. I mean, I play the piano and the violin. I just kind of like consider them to be equal.
Interesting, very interesting. So, give the viewers a bit of like information about yourself. Like, what's your major? What year of school?
Well, I'm a freshman and
No way, me too.
so I was exploratory, and then just like a week ago I thought, okay, I'm gonna try out digital media. So just gonna like, I'm not gonna know if I don't try things, so that's what I'm gonna do, because if I don't declare by the 2nd semester, I'm gonna have to be put in a designing your life class, which I don't wanna do.
Yeah, so when you guys come up here to Slippery Rock, if you're undecided, there's a lot of measures put in place to be sure that you eventually pick something that you would want to do for the rest of your life, and something that you want to take classes on up here. And also, the orchestra is for people that are both music majors and non-music majors. So, like Natalie, I'm not a music major, but I still have a chance to play in it if I have extra credits and the time to take the class. So, what sort of hobbies and interests do you have outside of playing music?
I would say writing is probably a really big thing. It's been even like before music, like since I learned how to write, always writing like stories. I have like, in my room, I have like an entire desk drawer. It's filled with just notebooks, and like, there's just like everywhere I look. Sometimes I go back and read some of it and I think, what was wrong with me? But yeah, so writing's a big thing. I don't know, I guess what else do I really do? I play Wii with my sister sometimes and beat everybody at Mario Kart, because when I was like 8 years old, I would spend like hours unlocking everything and getting better, like days.
Nice.
And yeah.
Is there any particular Mario Kart track that you like racing on?
Maybe Rainbow Road.
How dare you? I hate Rainbow Road.
Mario Kart Wii, by the way, is the only good Mario Kart in this entire world, and no one can tell me otherwise.
I could get behind that. It's a classic, and I really like it every time I play it, because like playing on like the Wii steering wheels, or just playing on like a Wii controller in general, is just so nice compared to playing on your standard like Xbox or PlayStation controllers. It's a different change of pace.
The only controller I've ever used.
So, I know you referenced your writing. Is there any sort of specific genre you tend to like write about?
Well, ever since 8th grade, when we read The Giver, and it was like dystopian, all that kind of stuff, I was like, okay, I am super in love with this now. And so now, like, anything science fiction, like dystopian, that kind of area, that's what I like to write about.
Interesting. Yeah, I tried writing a little bit myself, like back when I was younger, but it was purely just make-believe superhero stories that I put myself in with like the Avengers or the Justice League, and like I'd just write a little bit and then I'd just get tired of it, because like the story would be maybe like a couple pages, but it wouldn't be anything that would be like really big or something that could like make it a lot of fun and make me want to keep writing more. So, how exactly did you get involved with music, and what made you choose to play the violin?
So, how did I get involved with like both the piano and the violin?
Hey, whatever you want to tell us, we're happy to
Well,
listen.
First of all, one word, random. So, what happened was, I don't know, my mom, I asked her about this like last year, and I was like, because I remember how I started violin, but I didn't really remember piano. I was like, how did I start piano? And so she was like, oh, when you were 8, you said you wanted to, and so we started when I was 9. So I guess it was really random. So like that was actually not my first experience. Like my mom tried to get me to do piano lessons with a girl who was like 16 when I was 5.
Wow.
And it only lasted for like a few weeks. I was more interested in playing with toys 24/7 than doing anything else, and I was more interested in looking at the people's house.
Yeah.
And so yeah, piano, I don't know. I guess I don't remember myself telling her I wanted to play. I guess it was just random. And then with violin, so at my school district, like I think they just started a few years ago. Now it's 5th grade that they have everyone start. But when I was in 4th grade, it was 4th grade. And like everybody else, like they brought like the instruments to the school and we tried them all out, and I was like, And that entire year, like I didn't do anything. Like my mom was like, because like in the middle school, like you have to be in either the band, the choir, or the orchestra.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, if you don't, you're gonna have to be in the choir if you don't do anything else. And I still remember like she had like the program, and I was standing on the porch with her, and I got really mad. I was like, no. And every time she asked me that, like for most of that year, the same thing, I would be like, no. And then I don't know what happened, because I didn't like think about violin ever. I never like showed any interest or anything. It was just like April, and I said to my mom, I want to play an instrument. And she was like, what do you want to play? This was random. No thought or anything. I wasn't like obsessed with it or anything. I was just like, violin. And yeah, so it was really random.
Yeah, to piggyback off of like what you said with the middle schools, like my middle school, we had to either be in the band, the orchestra, the chorus, or there was a general music class where in 7th grade we learned the basics of piano, and then 8th grade we learned the basics of guitar. But I chose the orchestra way just because I had already been playing like in elementary school, because I ended up starting in 3rd grade. So now I think I've got like, I want to say this is my like 11th year playing now because of all that extra time. Like
yeah, I knew I didn't want to play the band instrument because I didn't want to blow into anything. So I spent like the summer before 5th grade kind of like taking like a little bit of lessons, like catching up a bit. And that teacher that I had, she actually didn't put a 4th finger tape on my violin, so the way I learned 4th finger was kind of hard. But I was like a year behind everybody else, but like I ended up being like one of the last people to stick with it by the end of high school. I was like one of 6 that were still playing violin.
Wow.
Out of so many people.
And this was just your graduating class, or was
Yeah.
this?
Out of my graduating class.
Wow. I think by the end of high school for me, my graduating class was down to 3 people, 2 of which were violinists, including me. And then we had a really good cellist who went to States twice and went to All East our senior year, which was a pretty cool experience from what I heard. So, I know I've been playing for like 11 years, and I know you mentioned you kind of got into the game a little bit later with violin. How many years have you played?
Let's see if I know how to do math. So it was 2015, so 8 years. Yeah.
Okay,
It'll be
that's not
eight
bad.
years, yeah.
So, in your 8 years of playing, did you ever play with any like outside of school groups, like any like
Nope.
Pittsburgh Youth Symphonies or like the Westmoreland Youth Symphony or anything like that?
Nope, none. Just the school orchestra.
Was there like any particular reasoning to it, or was it just
I just
how the way
never
how
really-
things fell?
I just never really wanted to do it. I didn't really ever think about it. Didn't really have the interest.
So more on the piano side of things, like is there anything that like you were able to do with your piano skills like in school?
No, not really. I never. I'm trying to think. No. it wasn't ever, it was just violin was in school, and that was outside of school.
So, would you say like maybe you like went on like some gigs with your piano skills? Like, did you play
Well,
in your church?
My piano teacher, I mean, she stopped doing this after COVID, but what she used to do every year was in December, there's like a nursing home like a few minutes away from my house, and she would have all her students go there and we would play Christmas tunes. So I did that every year, and we would have recitals at a church in April, and that, the last one I did was 2019. So it's been, I don't think she's gonna be doing those ever again though, so.
Were your recitals like all like classical music or like holiday based? If it was like around the holidays?
It was like, could be anything, like anything you wanted to play, you tell her, I wanna play this, she'd be like, okay, we'll learn it, so it's anything.
So, what did you play in your last recital, if you remember?
For piano?
Yeah.
I played, it was all pop songs. I played Hey There Delilah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's called Old Time Rock and Roll or whatever. It's like, got that old. I'm not gonna sing.
Oh yeah, I
that
think
one.
I know what you're talking about.
It's like the one that goes dun 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 dun. And then this song was called Home. I can't remember who it was by. It was like, yeah, they were all pop songs.
Interesting. Comment down below if you know any of those songs that she just mentioned. I'm curious. I want to see how far back our reach goes with all of our subscribers. So, you've played piano, you've played violin, but according to legend, there are some people around the Slippery Rock music department that have perfect pitch. And I'm told that you're one of them.
That is correct.
So, when did you discover that you had this musical superpower?
Well, I didn't know what it was at first, but I'm gonna say this like it's some disease or something. Like I started like showing signs of it in like in elementary school.
Somebody call the doctors.
But it was elementary school. We were in. Everybody had to do choir, so we'd be in like it was just like music class, and it was like third grade. We were singing. We would be like singing songs, and I didn't know this at the time, of course, because I didn't really know anything about music. But my music teacher, she would sometimes she'd change the key like in the middle of while we were singing, and I thought, why does it sound different? What did she do? I thought, what? Yeah. That happened a little bit in fourth grade too. She would like change the key sometimes, and I didn't know that's what she was doing, but I knew something was different. I thought, why did she do that? Put it back to the original. And then the next sign was
Someone better be taking notes around here.
the next sign was when I was 9 and I had this major obsession with the movie Frozen. I remember I watched it in the movie theater and I came out obsessed. I wanted to learn the music in it, and I told my teacher, and she got this I still have the book at my house. It was this really basic piano book with the Frozen songs in it. And of course, the first one was, of course, Do You Want to Build a Snowman?
I'd rather not, thanks for asking though.
And she played it for me a little bit so I could hear what it sounded like. And I said, that doesn't sound like the way it does in the movie. And she was like, why not? Well, I didn't know it at the time, but it was in the book they put it in a different key than in the movie. And I was like, it doesn't sound like it does in the movie. And she was like, it doesn't? And she said to my mom after, she's like, I never had a student say that to me. And then my mom was like, oh, maybe it's because in the movie they have all those other instruments and stuff too. And I was like, yeah, maybe, but I knew that wasn't why. I just didn't know. I didn't know music theory or anything, so I didn't know why I thought it was different. Then I forget about it. A few years later, I'm 12, and then I have a very, very basic understanding of what key signatures are. And I was at one of my lessons, and I said to her, you remember when I was 9, how I said that, how the song from the Frozen book was different than in the movie? And she was like, yeah. I was like, I figured out why. And I didn't really know how to do chords. I just knew the root note.
Mm-hmm.
So I played a C on the piano, and I was like, in the book it was in this key. And then I played an E flat, and I was like, but in the movie it's supposed to be this. And she said, do you know why you know that? And I said, no, why? And she said, well, it's because you have perfect pitch. And I said, what's that? And that's how it started.
See, that was going to be my next question about, like, perfect pitch. Like, when you realized and someone told you, like, yeah, you have perfect pitch.
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. Would you say it's something that, like, you could pick up, maybe? Like, if someone hasn't learned it already? Or is it something that you just think maybe you were born with?
I probably was born with it.
Like, if you were to tell me that I don't have perfect pitch, which is true, I do not have perfect pitch. I can't tell what a note is to save my soul. Am I still able to learn that, or do you think the time has come and gone?
Probably can't.
Guys, like the video if you feel really bad that I can't learn perfect pitch anymore, please. Because I feel like perfect pitch could really help my music. So in regards to Frozen, do you still have that book somewhere?
Yeah, it's at my house.
Same. Shame. I was just going to say, I thought maybe you let it go. Okay, so moving on. What would you say is probably your greatest career moment on either of your instruments?
Can I say more than one?
How about we do one for violin, one for piano?
That's what I was gonna say. Violin, definitely when we got to play, we went to Disney World last, spring of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And, no, spring, it was February. But, yeah, we got to play at Disney Springs, and that was really cool because I got to lead everybody, and that was, really cool.
Awesome.
And piano, this was 2021, I started doing this. I always, since I started, I loved, making my own little tunes and whatever, and then I started to, as I got older, started to, turn them into actual songs, and I was like, I want to record these and, put them out there. And my mom was calling around to places, and she found this place. It was called Audible Images in Wexford, which is near where I live.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, another company bought them, so it's not going to be called that anymore. But she called them, and so we went, and it's a Grammy-nominated recording studio, so. I think the only reason we were let in was because my piano teacher's daughter had gone there a couple of times, so my mom was like, oh, and her daughter's done a lot of stuff with music, and my mom told them that, and they let us in. They didn't really know, the recording guy didn't really know who we were. I guess he didn't know what to expect. So we went there. This was August. I remember it was August 2nd, 2021, and I went back to the piano, and the door was shut. I was warming up. I guess after we were done, my mom said that he had been talking to her a little bit, and he said, that's really good in there. I guess, he would, and then, after the first time I went, I recorded 3 songs, and after I was done, he came in, and he, had this big smile on his face, and he was like, that was incredible. And then he told us what he thought was the best, distribution company to, put music online. CD Baby. Hey, if you're thinking about releasing music online, use CD Baby. Everybody uses DistroKid. No, CD Baby. But, yeah, so that's how it started. I've been there. That was the first time I was there. Then I went in December of that year. I went in July of 2022. And I just went in April of this year, so 4 times. Mm-hmm. And even though this new company bought them, it's gonna have a new name. I think it's Red Cayman Media or something. But he's still able to work there as a freelancer. He goes there when he works with his clients.
And this is the guy that helped you record those songs.
His name is. He's also Grammy nominated. His name is Hollis Greathouse. So, Hollis, if you're watching this, hello. But So, I have a couple new things up my sleeve, and I'm going to try to go again by the end of this year.
Awesome. So, would you say that a Grammy could be in your future?
You never know.
So, is there any way that myself or any people watching this video would be able to listen to some of your original music?
Yeah, if you want, we can like put all the links in the description below. That it's on anything whatever, it doesn't matter really, whatever you used to listen to music, it's just anything like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon, iHeartRadio even, or...
I don't know about that
well,
one,
like,
but okay.
Oh wait, or there's an app, I don't know, it's on, basically, whatever you use to listen to music, it's probably on there. So if you like, it's all instrumental, so if you want to like, I lost my train of thought. If you need like inspiration for like, if you want to write something, any inspiration for that, or you like need something to put on in the background when you're studying, or just anything, it's just good. Like, I mean, some of it gets, it's not as calming, but like most of it is. So yeah, if you want to check it out.
I can confirm, I have used her music, and it's helped whenever I've been studying for things the last couple days. But we'll plug your Spotify and we'll plug your YouTube for your music stuff all down in the description below, along with anything else we find. So, for any musical writers out there, do you have any advice for them? If you want to give them one piece of advice about sticking with writing music?
You don't need to know how to write music on paper to put music out there. I don't know how to write music on paper at all. It's just all in my head. I just memorize it all, and I sit down at how I compose is, most of the time I sit down at the piano and I start messing around with things, or I take an old like little recording from when I was younger and I add to that. Very rarely it's been like I've been able to like I hear things in my head and then I play it, but it's not, a composer is not just somebody who like writes music on paper. You don't have to know how to write your music on paper to be a composer.
Wise words, very wise words. I never really composed anything. I mean, at the bare minimum, like a couple friends and I got together like one day when we were working on a different project for school, and we were just messing around and we ended up just like playing a bunch of random rhythms together, and they turned out okay, but we never really like sat down or like put anything to paper or really like thought about putting it out there for somebody to listen to. So like I just have like a couple like voice memo recordings of us just messing around and goofing off like in my phone. So I still listen like to them from time to time, but like after listening to your stuff, I have so much respect for like anyone that like just writes music like purely for themselves. Like it's awesome to see.
I have over 500 voice memos in my phone.
Now, in terms of your Spotify, do you have any CDs?
Oh yes, I do. So CD Baby, that's why they're called CD. Well, they stopped just this year. They stopped doing it like as of like June, but before June you were able to like, they have like their own like CD making service. It was I did this a couple years ago. It was very easy to do. It cost a little bit, but I thought it was worth it. I put in all my audio recordings, all the names, all the information and everything. They took that and they made them, and then I got them by February of 2022. Like actually a few weeks before we left for Disney. I actually came back from one of the rehearsals before we were going to Disney, and the CDs were there. And there's a picture of me just looking at it like, and I put it in the, because I wanted to make sure they worked, of course. I put it in the CD player, and I like heard, like just hearing something I made on like a radio, even if it was a CD, I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's when you know you've truly made it in like the musical side of life.
But I'm pretty sure they don't do it anymore, so if I have like I have these boxes of CDs in my room, and I just like, literally, like, they're all free. Like, if you want a CD, I will give it to you. I don't ask for any money or anything. I just want you to enjoy it. So
How many would you say you have left? More or less?
Over 100.
I was just about to say
Yeah.
more or less than 100.
Over 100.
I might have to get myself one. So, what would you say is probably your best moment in your career? I mean, you talked about all your originals and your CDs. Like, I guess.
That's probably everything I've already said, I
Yeah.
would say, yeah.
So combine that all together, you call that truly your greatest moment?
Yes.
That's awesome. So, I'm sure that you and I have probably had our fair share of conductors. If you could pick one lesson or piece of advice that they gave you, what is probably the most major piece that sticks with you still to this day?
Like advice from any conductor I've had?
Any conductor, teacher, or
Like,
heck, even your parents if they were in music.
like in music or just any teacher?
Any music-related advice?
Just my, like, the manner of my high school orchestra teacher, I would say, Mr. Barthen. He's an alumni of Slippery Rock, so Mr. Barthen, if you're watching this, hello. But he doesn't know how to play any string instruments. The string teacher who was there, she left, and they threw him into it, and he's still doing it. He does the honors, like he conducts the honors orchestra, and then another teacher does the regular. So he right away, like, I didn't really like the class at first. When I went there, I thought, like, I cried a lot about it at home. Like, it was like really, like, I thought he was really strict. I thought I thought it wasn't fair. I was just like really upset because like he would call, I'm not saying this is like bad or anything, he would call people, let me see what like call people out, like have them play by themselves, stuff like that. He's kind of a lot like Mr. Sinclair, who we had today. I think that at first it's a manner of teaching that you have to get used to.
Yeah.
Like, by the time I was, like, this May of this year, I realized that, like, he actually helped me become a better player. Like, that he wasn't brutally honest, but at the end of the day, it was actually better that he was. Because, like, it just, like, honestly, if I didn't have him as a teacher, I probably wouldn't have, like, taken lessons. I probably wouldn't, like, he really, like, pushed it on and made me want to get better.
I know what you mean when you say like strict conductors kind of motivate you. Like, I know we've had a different conductor this week for a couple of our rehearsals here, and he's definitely been pushing us to like strive to be the best that we can be, so that when our real conductor comes back, she can be impressed with the work that we put in while she's been away.
They know you have potential, and you're not going to unlock that potential if they're just like being like super sweet about it all the time.
Yeah, like in talking to our good buddy Pierce, like about like different conductors and their styles, he told me every conductor has their own style, but having that different style and being exposed to that is what's going to make you a better player in the long run. And it still sticks with me even like towards the end of this week. So for my advice, my whole family's been pretty much involved with music, so my mom's always got some great ones. But I'd say maybe her best, especially like, I'm not very good at playing up really high. Like, if you play a first violin part, you typically play like up here the entire time, right, Natalie?
Mm-hmm.
In working with that at home, my mom's always saying, if you're not killing cats and breaking glass, you're not doing it right. Because half the times, that is what it sounds like when I'm playing up there. And I'm still working to like refine that, both like at home, like on my own, and with our conductor, Dr. John, who we both take private lessons with. And everyone that I've been working with has been so helpful in trying to push me to play up there so that maybe I can one day transfer over to the first violins and play in that section. Because in high school and in junior high, first violin was what I played. But everything that I played like that was really easy. But when I got to like district orchestra, it'd have notes like up in the stratosphere, and I'd be struggling because I never really learned the right way to do it until I started private lessons. And through those private lessons, that's how I unlocked like the higher like 2/3 of my instrument that I didn't know you could really play on at the time. But it's definitely been interesting, like even looking back on it now, like a couple years later after starting my private lessons. I'm sure a lot of people watching are probably wondering to themselves, why play music up here? Why continue if we've already got existing music careers? What would be your opinion as to why a younger musician should continue their career and play music up here at SRU?
Like, just continuing like music at all, or like continuing music here?
At all and here.
Well, if you really love it, and it's like your passion, even if like you don't have to be, like even like how you were saying earlier, you don't have to be a music major to do a lot of things with music. Even if it's on the side or anything, if you like it better as a hobby, like me, I prefer it as a hobby because I can do like a little bit, and then I'm like, sometimes I'm like, now I kind of want to go do something else. But like, even if it's your, like, it can still be like your passion, even if it's like, and like a hobby at the same time, and like a sometimes thing, and you can still do it. Like, if you really like it, then continue with it. And if you want to do it up here, again, you don't have to be a music major to still do a lot of things with music here. Like, you can be in the orchestra, you can even take on a music minor, that's what I'm doing. And it still gives you a lot of musical experience while doing like other things outside of music that you love at the same time.
Like, in my opinion, your music shouldn't die the day that you graduate high school. Like, in the past 10 years of playing, I've learned that music's really a part of me, and it's probably the best side of me, and like the only thing that I really know that like I'm good at it, and I really like doing what I do on the violin.
Unless you like absolutely hate it or don't care, like if it's your passion, then stick with it.
Like, if you have the drive to succeed and get better and never stop learning, then that's when you know that music's really something that is going to stick with you throughout your whole life. And it's something that you can pass down to like future generations. Because I was exposed to music at a very young age through my dad, because he played guitar and bass, and even through my grandpa. Like, my grandpa got me my first instrument, and it was a ukulele. And I learned some stuff on that, and my music experience just kept ramping up from there.
I was too, like, my mom, like, she hasn't played saxophone in years. She played saxophone in the marching band. She stopped after graduating high school. My dad never played anything, but they just always, from when I was little, they always had music on, like, all the time, like, mostly 80s music, and that's probably why that's, like, kind of like the only music I listen to now. Not classical, but they would always have it on. Like, there's, like, these old videos we have of, like, me, I'm, like 1 year old, and they're, like, putting on these, like, 80s songs, and I'm just, like, dancing around to the music. Like, it's pretty funny. And, my grandma, when she was alive, like, the organ's still at their house. We're gonna try to go, like, get it sometime and, like, bring it up to our house. But there's a video of this too. She had this organ, and she would, like, they're playing it all the time. And when I was like 3 years old, I would be like sit at the bench with her, and like I of course didn't really know what I was doing. I'd just be like playing one, but like she was the one who realized, like, because I was able to like play one note just like to the beat, and she'd be like, she said to my mom, she has good rhythm.
Yeah, I don't really remember how I fully got into music. I just know that I got exposed to it, and getting exposed to it was probably the best thing, like, looking back, because I wouldn't be where I am today without it. All right, one last question. Do you like hypotheticals? Because this one's kind of a hypothetical sort of thing.
Okay.
So, in many, many years in the future, you're still playing your music, and you're walking down the street one night, just like in some town, wherever you end up. A stranger comes up to you, and the stranger's like, oh my gosh, you're Natalie Miller. You're this really good violinist. If they ask you why you play music personally, what makes music so entertaining and so much fun to you, what would be your answer?
Probably getting to be able to play it for people, getting to make my own is really the most amazing part. Like getting to hear like just listening to music and not even playing it, just hearing all the like notes and like the chords and everything just come together. It's just this thing that's kind of like out of this world and is like so different from everything else in the world. It's like even if like the whole world is like crumbling, there's still music.
Very well said. Yeah, I feel like music is something where it's like, at the bare minimum, it's still there, and it's something that can be made on pretty much anything, and it's truly awesome to see that just in everyday life.
People always say like it brings people together, like, and I think it really does. Like, if that was the one thing that would bring world peace, that would be really awesome.
Yeah. Really? Oh my goodness. Is it over? Thank goodness. I don't know why, but I'm getting pieces of paper thrown at me. No, we're still going.
Oh.
Let's just see what these pieces of paper have to say. There's news? Are we sure? Okay, I'm getting nods from behind the camera, so I guess there's news. So, as I've mentioned in past episodes, we have a concert coming up on November 14th at 7:30 p.m. in our SWOPE recital hall. The concert's called A Journey Through Art and Dance, and you can get your tickets at sru.universitytickets.com. Once you get on the website, you click Slippery Rock University Music Department, and then you scroll until you find our concert titled A Journey Through Art and Dance. Well, let's see what this second piece of paper has to say. It's really tightly compacted. Give me a second. Media screen? Social media screen. Okay then. So it turns out our editor has been really hard at work in between recordings and stuff. So now we're going to have a screen that will show up at the end of our episodes from episode 3 on with all of our social media usernames on it. And we will also have our social medias linked down in the description as well. Natalie, I believe you were going to play something for us?
Oh, yes.
What exactly are you going to be playing for us?
It's a fiddle song. We played it. This is one of the songs I played for my spring concert, 10th grade. It would have been 9th grade, but COVID said no, so we moved it back a year. And it's not really like a full through, like this is the start, this is the end. It's kind of like bits and pieces of it like squished together, and it's called, I don't know, it's a fiddle song. I don't know if I already said that,
Yeah.
but
See,
it's called If You're Gonna Play in Texas.
Ooh.
You gotta have a fiddle in the band.
You got So, that's going to do it for episode 3. Hope you guys enjoyed and you like and subscribe. That way you don't miss out on any future episodes. We'll have all our social medias up on the screen and down in the description, and we'll see if we can throw the ticket link down in the description as well. Stay musical, and we'll catch you in episode 4.
Au revoir.